for coming out tonight. My name is Asia Nunez, and I'm the Level Up Director here at PACE. And welcome to our new PACE facility. This is the Walter Jr. Dodds Ride Center, which was just renamed because we received a $5 million donation from Mr. Walter Dodds. So at these Level Up workshops, we bring together students from across all majors. And for this event, we'll be having 2 groups present and a Q&A and networking session at the end. It's my pleasure to introduce Sky Kamaloa, the UH Esports Director and a professor at UH Vanta. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the esports industry, it revolves around playing video games competitively. Tournaments are streamed on platforms such as Twitch or YouTube and broadcasted to people all around the world. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's bigger than the movie and music industry combined. After living in Korea while teaching English, Sky researched the esports industry for his PhD at UH Manila. He created the esports program at UH, including teams that play Valorant, League of Legends, and many more. These teams have quickly risen through the ranks among universities nationwide, and was even named a collegiate program of the year in 2022. I was very excited to have the opportunity to work alongside to create this workshop, which will highlight the internship opportunities offered to students interested in working in the gaming industry. I'll let Sky take it from here and introduce the group's of interns.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. I'm Sky Kamaloa. I'm the director of UH Esports at the University of Hawaii Manoa. I'm also a specialist researcher of esports at the University of Hawaii Manoa. I think a lot of people might be shocked that you can do this kind of research. You can, it is absolutely amazing. So, 2 really big things I want to mention. Number 1, I want to thank PACE and RISE for hosting this event. This is a wonderful event in which I'm taking UH Esports and trying to understand its function, its mission, through the eyes of different departments within the university. And so it's really wonderful to see PACE as being part of that discussion. Number 2, last year I invited Joe Marsh, the CEO of T1. T1 is one of the biggest South Korean esports organization. He came down here to talk to my class, and he also came to talk at PACE. This year, I wanted to flip things up, and I wanted to actually put the students' voices at the foreground. And so what you're going to see for today are 2 things. Number 1, you're going to see a presentation by 2 cohorts of interns, one from Vanta and one from Gen.G. In some respects, they are interns that did very similar types of work. In another respect, they are interns that really were working in basically 2 different worlds. And you're going to see what they did and those lived experiences. And what's important about that discussion is that for us in Hawaii, esports has become a central topic to diversifying our economy, especially post-COVID. One of my goals is to understand, what way can we promote, foster, and cultivate esports in the islands that is not just about tournaments and competitions, but is about looking at business operations, competition operations, marketing, PR, business development overall. Really doesn't matter. The roles are tremendous. So with that, I'm really excited to have you listen, observe, and then after the presentations are done, we're going to have a mixer in which all the students and all the interns, really that is the purpose of this event, for you guys to really just interact with this great set of group of interns here that really have done, in my opinion, trailblazing work in esports. And Hawaii really is setting the pace in this discussion. And so with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite both the representatives of Gen.G and Vanta, and they're going to come up and they're going to briefly discuss their companies, their mission, and what they're doing, and then after that we'll move on to Gen.G's presentation, followed by Vanta's presentation. Okay, with that I'd like to come up and have Artie. Artie is from Gen.G, and also we'll have Ed. Ed is from Vanta, and yeah, come over here. And go ahead and just tell us about the companies you represent.
Hey everyone. My name is Artie. I'm actually an alumni from UH Manoa. I just graduated last December, and now I'm currently working full-time at Gen.G Esports. I'm actually the only foreigner working at the Korea office, which is pretty fun. We have offices right now in 3 places, Korea, Los Angeles, and Shanghai, China. And currently looking to expand into a couple more areas that, though, can't talk about yet. But there's some exciting stuff that is coming up, and all that exciting stuff has actually helped and fueled by some of the interns that we had over the summer. So for me personally, I actually work on the Gen.G Global Academy team. And so our Global Academy team has a few different functions. I don't know how I can go to the next slide on this, but we'll figure that out. There we go. If you guys don't know about Gen.G, we've actually been around for not that long as far as esports is concerned. However, anything pre-COVID might as well be an entire other world away for how long ago it was. But Gen.G was actually founded in 2018, and after some very rapid growth with a lot of very awesome winnings that we had, 2019, 2020, and then 2021, we started to work on the Global Academy side of things. So the Global Academy actually was started in 2019 and started to expand outside of Korea in 2020, and following that, 2021 was the first time that they did programs with other students from around the world, different universities. And this year, we actually expanded to University of Hawaii. So we actually got to have a lot of our interns from the University of Hawaii come out to Korea for a few weeks to work on a lot of our different programs. They worked on stuff like curriculum development, marketing, and really just sort of trailblazing their own projects. The best part about working with Gen.G is that it's super flexible. And for a lot of the students, they had this idea of like, oh, it's a real esports org. They have deadlines and projects and everything's already figured out, but that can be further from the truth. And as these students learn, getting thrown right into the mix, really it's entirely up to you what your project looks like and what you want to do with it. Your deadlines are set by yourself. Whatever time you have to do the project, whatever time is granted just by anything that's happening around, everything is all dynamic. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for a lot of these students. So I'm really excited to see their presentation later. And then, finally, there are two sort of aspects to Gen.G Global Academy. So we have GGA Play and GGA Learn. So kind of going off of what Sky said earlier, there are a lot of roles within esports. There is this sort of misnomer that a lot of esports is just the players and the broadcasts, but it goes way deeper than that. And so, as our interns also learned, there is a lot more that you can do throughout the scope of esports than just even these two, but keep it simple, So anyway, that's Gen.G Esports. Excited to see what the interns talk about later. Pass it off to Vanta.
Thank you, Artie. Thank you, Sky. Thank you, UH. Rise is amazing. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Ula, for actually helping out with the internship program. My name is Ed Lallier. I am the co-founder and chief corporate development officer at Vanta Esports. For those who don't know, I started Vanta actually in response to my son unfortunately being cyberbullied early COVID. So we created a safe place for kids to game with adult supervision. So we are a youth esports development program for kids ages 8 to 18. We started out being a place where you could do coached leagues online. And we have since grown rapidly to become an infrastructure company for youth esports. So we provide free competition for the schools. We provide professional development for the teachers so they can establish recurring and sustainable esports programs. Because oftentimes a lot of the adults still think of video games as Pong and Donkey Kong and don't really understand what League of Legends is and stuff like that. So we help remind them that the games have evolved and it has become a greater thing. We provide team-based coaching, professional and private coaching. We provide a platform, which is really important. So Discord, for a lot of us, we use it all the time. But for youth, it can be dangerous. So we created our own proprietary Discord alternative platform, which follows federal law and COPPA laws, Children's Online Private Policy Act. It follows laws to protect kids' data. So we have a home base for youth under 13 to establish a meaningful home for esports learning. And we also do events, in-person events, as a capstone for the end of a season. Because we offer like a fall and a spring season, 3 months long each. And then we also do camps. So competition, platform, events, coaching, I mean, it's pretty much full service, choose your own adventure. And we work with organizations to support the actual learning of esports within the K through 12 space. We have since expanded to the military and tech companies as well. So Vanta has been a really great learning process for myself, who I was in fintech for 20 years, really focusing on selling software. But I've always been a gamer. I started during the Quake days. But it's really fascinating how esports has grown, and with the help of partners like UH, HBU, and others around here, it's been a real big deal for us to come together and find a way that we can make Hawaii esports a center point for not just I think the college and high school space, but for the U.S. and even globally. Hawaii has a really great midpoint for access to the East and the West. We can really do a lot of interesting things around events and storytelling. The internship program here that you'll see today will be talking about what we're trying to do. We're really trying to create a place that is safe for kids, that is really meaningful for them to actually create opportunities for their education, for jobs. And so, what we are looking for our interns to do is really understand exactly what space we're in, which is really that K-12 space, and how can they actually help create meaningful stories for the outside, but also within the school as well. And so there's a lot of different things that need to be done, especially in a startup. You all know, we're all wearing multiple hats. And so I'm really excited for you all to see the stories they have to share. So again, thank you so much. And again, name's Ed Lally, and look for me in the picture. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sean Sarikaku.
I'm Justin White.
And we're going to be presenting about the marketing team's experience at Gen.G.
Okay, so just a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to go over Gen.G, what Gen.G is, the esports industry research that we went over during the 3 weeks, the project proposals that we pitched to the CEO and some of the marketing coordinators, and just highlights of the trip, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end.
So first section, learning about Gen.G. So Artie already gave a really good explanation of what Gen.G is. Basically a top 6 esports organization throughout the world. And mainly their main focus is to build a global, inclusive, cross-cultural future for gaming while also integrating education with programs such as the Gen.G Global Academy, which interconnects the world of competitive gaming with the educational side of the esports industry.
And then Artie also went over the Gen.G Academy, so I'm not going to go too much into detail over it. It's just an education program for young gamers to learn about esports and to grow through the program.
So during our first week, we were tasked with researching the major esports titles that Gen.G participates in, and we learned about how these professional leagues operate and market. So starting off, we have the Overwatch League, which was based in global East and West regions comprised of 20 city and franchise-based teams. Gen.G is represented by the Seoul Dynasty and participates in the East region.
And next up, we have Valorant Champions Tour Pacific League. Gen.G is one of the 10 participating teams chosen to play. Can y'all hear me in this with this mic?
It's a little quiet.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little.
It's alright.
Okay, anyways. So yeah, they're part of the 10 participating teams in the Pacific League, and they basically play in a round robin tournament until the end of the year tournament, which is Champions. And then same with League of Legends, they're part of 10 different teams, and they just play a year-round tournament for the end of the year tournament Worlds, which is actually this year coming up. They started actually today, so yeah, watch that if you like the.
So now we're going to be moving on to our esports partnership strategies that we researched. So for the first week of instruction in Korea, we went through Gen.G's marketing class structure curriculum and learned about many essential strategies and approaches to esports in Korea. And through this, we gained a better understanding of what was expected of us and what aspects of marketing that we need to focus on.
So one of the prominent marketing strategies that we saw over the course of our trip was just numerous marketing strategies in esports. giving some examples of product placement, giveaways, sound cues, and watch parties. So down here, for example, during one of the games for Valorant, they have a product placement of Red Bull, so it's just they're like as their sponsor. And just things like small things like that, where they just place different types of sponsorships, products, and stuff like that in their games or in their flyers to promote different strategies. Yeah.
So we're going to move on to section 3, which is social media strategy research. One of the most important marketing sectors of esports is through social media, which we mainly focus on during the research process. So starting off, a lot of brands can utilize YouTube to promote more long-form content that would not be able to fit in a TV ad runtime or would be too long for Instagram or TikTok. Most esports organizations will often produce vlog or documentary-style videos on YouTube, which showcase the behind-the-scenes of their teams or the daily lives of their players. And this allows viewers first-hand look at how the team operates and personalities of their star players, and enables fans to create a personal connection to these players. For example, there's Uncensored, which is a behind-the-scenes series with the Team Sentinels in the Valorant. And another example would be Aftershock, which is an episode-based series that captures the lives and daily lives of the players on the SF Shock, which is an Overwatch League team.
And for those with the short attention span, they also use TikTok, and so it's basically just for short-term videos to play some ads or videos like clips of games and stuff like that. For you're just scrolling through TikTok, you see that you want to be more interested. So yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to start moving on to the actual projects that we were given. Once our first week of research and learning was over, we met with our mentors and began working on several marketing projects. We would meet with our mentors several times a week and would be briefed on our approach to our projects and would present informational presentations about previous projects that they worked on before and their strategy approach. So our first project was to increase the engagement of casual Gen.G fans. Initially, our approach to increasing the casual fan engagement was ramping up more social media content and trying to gain more social media numbers. However, our mentors taught us that the most important thing to focus on was to strive for gaining conversions and returns. So what this means is that Gen.G needs to earn a revenue, basically, and most of that comes from loyalty programs and fan subscriptions, which primarily comes from their coaching and rewards program. So we found a way to incorporate this information into a new program in which Gen.G would host community tournaments called pugs, which are also known as pickup games. Those are very common in basketball. And they would incentivize fans to, on the Gen.G Discord, into playing the game at a more competitive level in a structured tournament format. So basically, the main objective was to attract the casual gamer audience to professional level play. And outcomes, by the end of the project, fans would have gained increased interest in esports and competitive gaming. And there would also be a brand new sub-community that would flourish and drive in more unique members. In addition to that, they would also be held at more frequent intervals in the future, and Gen.G would also see an increase in sales and activity on their coaching membership plans. And this is basically our conversion plan. We separated it into 3 different phases. I think the most important thing that we focused on during our projects was how do we actually convert these casual gamers into more competitive gamers in order for them to utilize their the Gen.G coaching program effectively. Mainly that was done through sending out emails or messages through Discord promoting their Gen.G's program. This is basically a highlight of all the calculations we did. We would experiment with different numbers based on tournament fees and getting a significant return on investment.
And so another pitch that we made to some of our directors were to kind of start a fan app. And what we would include in the fan app would be some exercises, because gamers like to sit in their chair and just game all day, but also we like to emphasize that exercise also is important. And so during games in between stuff, stay healthy, stay working your physical body and just not gaming. And and also staying positive through negative thoughts. So like, obviously gaming can be tilting sometimes and you can get angry at multiple different things, but stay positive with this positive mindset. That's pretty much what we like to emphasize in our fan app. Another feature that we wanted to include was like a stat tracker. So many people like to see stats, like to see numbers. And so we wanted to say, like, for here as an example, how many kills you got, how many your win percentage, stuff like that, just to track your overall statistical performance. And then for our, for our booth support and photo booth attractions, so for our world events that coming up this semester or this year, we wanted to do like some sort of photo booth, because photo booths are actually a big thing in Korea. And so we wanted to have fans wear Gen.G merch and Gen.G gear and take photo booth pictures to promote not only Gen.G, but the world's tournament as a whole. And last but not least, we have the world's watch parties. So obviously, watch parties are a pretty prominent thing in esports culture. And then also at the world's stadium, we would have like punching bags related to League of Legends. So like Vibe punching or Tiger Punch, something like that. Just to attract more fans and get them, or have them do something other than just watch the games at the Worlds.
Right, so several group members were also assigned individual projects alongside their marketing and education projects, which we will highlight now. So the first one of these is the marketing material video that Evan did. Unfortunately, for the sake of time, we can't play it, but if you want to find it, you can go to the UHG Twitter or the YouTube channel. So in addition to the marketing projects I was working on, I was personally pulled aside to help create a course curriculum for an Overwatch 2 instructional course being conducted by Gen.G in collaboration with a major esports academy, which I am not allowed to disclose. I created the initial project proposal and a student handbook in addition to managing student and coach information. And I also created online course modules through LMS. And I also had the opportunity to work with professional Overwatch League coaches throughout the project, one of them being Coach Arachne, who was previously the assistant coach of the 2020 San Francisco Shock, which was the undisputed best team in the Overwatch League with back-to-back Grand Finals wins. I was able to work with him in both online and in-person sessions, mentoring him in English and assisting in creating course material and discussing game strategy. In terms of the overall stats of the course was very successful with 107 total students. There were also 100 plus individual student consultations, and 44 students reported a dramatic increase in rank, which is more than 5 tiers. There were also 700 plus hours of scrimmages held. Now we're going to go into some highlights of our trip. So we also had the opportunity to attend many live esports events, such as going to Lowell Park and seeing Gen.G play in person and helping the staff at their watch party. And in conclusion, it's really amazing to see how big the scale of esports is in Korea, and it really inspired us to bring like what we learned there and bring it back to UH esports and kind of implement it in that program, which we were looking forward to doing this semester.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hume Daniel.
And I'm Casey Carlo.
And today we are representing the Education Initiative team. We worked on the education program when we were interning at Gen.G. Our main focus was to focus on curriculum development, and together we're going through that. Some of the things we're going to go through, we looked at researching after-school programs in California. We created an English-based curriculum called Good Game English. We designed a second track for another esports or gaming-related education program. I helped work on a mental health PowerPoint presentation. Our other member who wasn't able to make it here today, he helped develop a esports marketing course. And we also had an English exchange session with different Korean students. We also held a cultural exchange session with the students from the Gen.G Global Academies program as well. And that's about it. So we first started in Korea with a after-school research program, or we first started looking at after-school programs in California. We did this research to help understand what the ecosystem was like for different after-school activities regarding esports in California, and we can look at how to improve upon those programs and how we can look for areas where Gen.G could implement themselves. So we researched after-school programs and we collected information on those after-school programs, and we created a presentation collecting on those key findings.
So here's a couple slides that we had presented about our after-school planning program. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So right after presenting our findings and data analysis over the after-school programs, Gen.G assigned us to create a summer school English course for a middle school, which they wanted to integrate esports within the curriculum. So they called it Good Game English, or G.G for short. Our assignment was to basically create about 15 lesson plans that taught students English through learning about history from League of Legends, which was the main game that Gen.G chose to teach all the students, along with creating blogs, creating characters, and so on the left, you can see our thought process for each of the lessons that we needed to create. Each lesson had to be very distinct and make it fun. So you can see we have one about creating a blog and creating a champion. And while we had to think of these ideas, we actually had to put it down on paper. So Gen.G gave us a quick outline of how everything should be looked, how the format of the implementation guide would be. So 15 lesson plans was a lot. So our mentor actually told us to use ChatGPT and AI tools to help us create a lot of information with the same format and the same wording styles with our ideas onto it. So you can see there's like 15 things that we created.
I just want to iterate that the CEO of Gen.G himself actually told us that he's trying to get every employee on board with the use of AI and ChatGPT in particular, just because in order to make the process more efficient, we have to, in order to adapt to use AI. He also mentioned how he believes that the organizations and companies that do not utilize AI will fall behind.
And thankfully, before the 3-week period, we were actually able to see our hard work being implemented into the middle school program. So this is what it actually looks like.
It was really cool to see that the work that we did wasn't just turned in for a grade or anything. The fact that we were able to contribute to a project that was used firsthand in real life situations meant that our work actually served a purpose, and I thought that was really cool for us.
So another thing that I was assigned, so you've heard that the interns were split up into individual projects. My individual project was creating track B, very similar to GEE. I needed to make 16 course outlines within a week for Gen.G's middle school program, which is, instead of English, it taught life skills, like anger management, how to be a leader, and also how to be a follower, understanding like empathy. And I just needed to create lessons using different games instead of just League of Legends. I used People Park. I used Overcooked to help the students manage their. And it was very similar outline for what we had to do in GED, just 16 times for me.
So I helped work on a mental health PowerPoint. One of the people I work with, his name is Jordan Lee. He is a mental health coach for the different esports teams at Gen.G. And I was told that his content is always great, but in terms of his presentations, they sometimes can get messy and need help to be cleaned up. So I worked with him on that. He started with the presentation you see on the left, and I helped clean it up. It's not, the one on the right side isn't the final product, but it's just a draft. I wasn't able to finish the presentation until after the internship, but I was told by Jordan that it was one of the better presentations he's actually used, and he was very thankful to work with me on this presentation. Again, I thought it was cool that the work that I helped do was used in a real life situation. It wasn't just turned into a grade. He actually used my presentation for instructing students on mental health in esports. And just more slides on how that process looks, I guess, cleaning it up, making things more streamlined, using more graphics to communicate the idea more easily. And our other member, Jaden, he helped construct a esports marketing course.
Unfortunately, he wasn't here and we don't know all the details about it, but he created a marketing course that went over basic marketing basics, reacting to esports events, connecting community and successful esports events, and measuring and validating success. He created an outline on how to teach this kind of esports marketing course.
He also mentioned how he had to go through multiple iterations, how his first draft of this outline was too complicated or too advanced for the level that he was meant to be teaching. So he had to work with the different staff members at Gen.G to help dumb it down and figure out what's the right level to present at.
So you can see his, this is his marketing course before. A lot of words, a lot of subtitle subsections that the students would have to go through. And after the mentorship, he was able to make it more condensed, make it easier for the level that he was supposed to help create. We were actually assigned, apart from all of these individual projects, we were asked to converse with one of the Gen.G Global Academy students for an English exchange, just to talk one-on-one with one of the students. I was assigned with Kevin, and we just talked for 2 hours for Discord about Overwatch, the college that he wanted to play chess.
And I had an English speaking session with Jerry. Keep in mind that these guys are also English as a second language students. Korean is their first language, but obviously I don't speak Korean, so we had to communicate in English, and we just discussed as many topics as we could within, well, I discussed with Jerry for about an hour because it was hard for me to reach the 2 hour window, but we did cover a variety of topics, and it was a very enjoyable conversation. We also hosted a cultural exchange session with the Gen.G Global Academy students, and we discussed our roles and responsibilities at the UH Esports program here at UH, our own hobbies and lifestyle in Hawaii, and how it compares and contrasts to the different students in Korea. We also looked at cuisine and how the different environments have helped us grow. And we've also looked at friendship opportunities and how we can make connections through our own programs. And I just want to say thank you for coming out today to listen to us talk about our program here or with Gen.G.
Okay. Hi everyone, so we are the business development and event operations team from the Vanta group. My name is Monika, and I'm joined with Zach and Garrett, who are fixing the mic right now. So we're gonna get started. How does this? Okay.
Yeah, so with Vanta, at least for me and Monika, we were part of the business development internship, and our job was to try and boost growth in sales, do market research on competitors and just the niche that we were going into, and communicating and contributing to the BD team that we were part of. Okay, so this was my elevator pitch. This was kind of an essential thing for us to learn, or at least for me to learn, because I'm not a business student and I was in business development. Learning what a good elevator pitch was kind of essential the first week with Dan, our boss. It kind of meant that we understood what Vanta was and what Vanta was trying to achieve. So Vanta is a youth esports platform. This is basically what Ed said, but for K through 12 that specializes in making a free competitive league for whatever your school's situation. Vanta offers different paid services to support that league, from coaching, mentorship, camps. But further than that, Vanta wants to create a safe and enticing environment for kids to not only further develop the skills they're learning from school, but to teach more traditional life skills, leadership, within an extracurricular that we know they really like.
Okay, so now I'm going to be covering some of the things that we worked on during our internship. So I'm going to be talking about our growth in sales. So as business development interns, a big part of our internship was helping Vanta work on how they could target their new clients and work on developing the business. So the first thing that we worked on in our first few weeks of our internship was prospecting. So this is like looking for new clients that we can reach out to. So this included a lot of reaching out to personal contacts. I was the only intern from our group who is from Hawaii, and so I had to reach out to my elementary school, my middle school, and my high school. And it was really funny because my middle school is actually already involved with Vanta's sources, so that just goes to show that Vanta already has a space in Hawaii's esports industry. Also, a lot of this was learning how to generate revenue. So as Zach mentioned, having that initial speech is a really big part of being a good business development representative. And so the next thing that we worked on was using HubSpot as a CRM software. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And so HubSpot is actually a very big thing in the sales industry. So that was really cool to learn how to use that software, and it helped give us like on the job experience during our internship. So we got access to HubSpot Sales, which allowed us to track and manage the different sales, the processes in which we find a client all the way to them purchasing like a service from Vanta. And this is really cool for me personally because I really hate talking to people. I was very introverted when this internship started, so this really helped me kind of learn how to speak to professionals, get out of my comfort zone, and really know how to sell a thing, like whether it's a business, an idea, or a concept. And then so the next thing what we did was going through like the decision-making timeline. Sorry, I'm gonna move down here. So this is qualifying like questions that help salespeople assess like their sustainability of the lead. So this is knowing how to ask the right questions to make people buy your stuff, which is a really good skill just to have in general if you want to get into the business industry. I'm a business student, so that was a very valuable lesson for me personally. Also, what we did was so in HubSpot Sales, actually, there's like a timeline that I mentioned. You can see the process from when someone becomes like a potential lead in Vanta to when they purchase like anything. And so I think seeing that, like seeing your work, you have to be comfortable with everyone on the BD team, like seeing you flop or seeing you succeed. And so I think learning how to be comfortable with that was really awesome as well, because when you're on a team, like it's really important for you to play your part in order for everyone else to succeed. So the next thing that we worked on was data entry. This is actually the majority of our internship. So a big part of BD, business development, is just putting in the contact information for all of your clients and potential customers. So I think over the course of our internship, I added like over 180 different people, and this is just me like finding people who were previously involved in Vanta services, or just going on school websites and finding like the principal, the athletic director, the whatever, the STEM coordinator, and just putting all of their information into their database. I'm also an MIS student, which is Management Information Systems, and in the IT industry as well, like data entry is a really big part, and any big database, you need to have information in the database so that you can use it. And so a lot of our time was spent finding potential leads and putting them into Vanta's system. And then last but not least for growth in sales, it was creating an automated email campaign. So if you know anything about reaching out to people, you have to send a lot of emails and make a lot of calls. I made over let's see, like 70 phone calls. A lot of them went to voicemail, but I still made them. And I also had to send out a lot of emails to these potential leads. So that can be really time consuming. And a cool thing about HubSpot and also Gmail, if you did not know, is that you can create a template for your email and just like mass send it to a bunch of people. So in HubSpot, it actually has a code where you can take from the database and insert like, oh, I want to send an email to this person, please include their job position here, please include the school that they attend here, and then please attend what services you want to provide. And that just made my life so much easier because I hate emailing people. But again, emailing people and contacting them, even if you're afraid, is a really big part of developing a business. And I think it was a really good step for me personally to step out of my comfort zone and learn how to just talk to people and connect with them one-on-one so that we can all move towards a big, greater cause. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Monica. That was probably the biggest takeaway for me as well. Just learning how to send emails, talk to receptionists, talk to principals, athletic directors, as well as like what works and what doesn't work when sending emails. That was something you learned really fast. Taking a more personalized approach really does work, like wonders. It's kind of wild how different one email that's unpersonalized versus one that is can make towards like how someone else responds to you. But then the first thing we did for the internship was go over our competitors. We wanted to, we had a big slideshow to go down about all the competitors in the niche. And Dan, our boss, was actually from Play Versus, which is one of the big competitors that Garrett's gonna go over. So talking to him after, while building our pitches and going down our sales decks, he would always give us some extra information or perspective from his side, being part of Play Versus. Just understanding the competition within the niche, super important and was super helpful to understand not only the niche, but also Vanta as well. And also our elevator pitches. The other thing we did was go to meetings. So we were required to do 4 hours a day for the internship. Most of that was just staring at emails, making sure you see everything, especially making sure you go to the meetings. Because learning to go to the meetings and paying attention to your email all day was kind of a learning experience for me. Making sure you go to those, be held accountable for your work, and just talk to the BD team, Dan, and the rest of the team was really important. Especially when those meetings would lead to us going to their own personal meetings with customers, where they would go over the sales deck with us while they were pitching to customers, or right afterwards. Like after they get done with an hour-long meeting, they would personally go through that hour-long meeting with us, what questions we had, and if we were ever to do it ourselves, they would tell us how to do it. And take the other one.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's give a hand for our business development intern here at hello, everyone. My name is Jared Howe. I, along with my partner who could not be here today, Benjamin Crawford, we're part of the event operations team, and we work closely with Ed. So said before, some things that we really needed to understand and know is the services that Vanta provides. For example, it would be competition, coaching, the professional development for teachers and adults, the COPA platform. They hold esports and summer camps, as well as live events. For example, Vanta's live event would be at HPU, and it'll be held at the HPU Esports Arena. So one thing that we had to do in the beginning of this internship was competitive analysis. The business development interns discussed this a bit. So competitive analysis means that we looked at multiple factors of different companies. So something that we would look into those companies would be their location and also their services. Are they a tournament organizer? Are they a coaching service? And also what their sponsors were. So like Zach said, one of the competitors that we looked at was PlayVS. So PlayVS is a national online esports organization, so they're a tournament organizer. But some of the things that are different from Vanta is that you have to pay money. You have to pay $2,700. This is the current year, so this is the full school year from fall, winter, and spring seasons. That is an unlimited pass. You can have as much teams as you want and as much games to compete in. Another thing is 13 and up. You have to be 13 up to play. And this service also allows kids to win money. Some of the games that include that Vanta does not offer, but they offer is NBA 2K, Madden, Splatoon, etc. And they offer services to Canadian schools and students. So if we actually look at Vanta, their advantages, it's free, no cost. If you're in Vanta, you can compete for free, as many teams as you want. The age starts from 8 years instead of 13, but actually, if we were to fix that, they are trying to offer from K through 12. So that's a lot younger. They offer coaching services, both team-based and private coaching. And as I said before, they hold the summer camps and summer programs and camps. So for sponsorships, this is another thing we had to do. Around the second week, we had to analyze some sponsors. So during this portion of the internship, we analyzed different companies that obtained sponsorships through their esports team. So we needed some examples. So most notably, we decided to research one of the more popular companies, which is Riot Games, baby. We all love Riot Games. Riot Games is a game development company that was founded in 2006, and Riot Games holds two of the most sought out esports titles, which is League of Legends and Valorant. So thanks to esports charts, some of the popular sponsors of Worlds 2022, this was last year, we looked at who would sponsor this event. So for example, we have MPIRE Gaming, we have MasterCard, we have Red Bull, Cisco, Mercedes-Benz would sponsor this event. And then we also want to look at a Valorant event. So this was VCT Lock-in, which was in Brazil in February to March. And as you can see, kind of the demographics, since it's Valorant, 45% of the sponsorships noted was AimLab, which is an aim training application. So if we were to list all of the sponsors that were listed on both of those charts, you see there's pretty much a mix of different categories. For example, Heineken, that's a beverage, Red Bull beverage, MasterCard, paying service. So you have all 16, and we decided to put that into a little graph for you guys. So out of the 16 sponsors, 31%, which is the most, are peripherals. So if you look back, that would be like Logitech, HyperX, Secret Lab, which is a gaming chair. And we start to notice that who would be the ones to sponsor this? Lifestyle retail, 25%. Beverage food, 12%. So all these different companies are sponsoring major events to get their word out. And then, like what Gen.G said, product placement. So at the bottom over here, in League of Legends, Ace, Bud Light put their name in front of it, as well as the Baron buff for League of Legends. The Red Bull Baron buff, I think that still exists now. I think so. But yeah, so they use the product placement to put their name in front of major objectives in League of Legends games. This is the last thing we did. This is what all came down to. So this is the playbook for small events. So when you're planning an event, this could be any event, but mostly for esports, we have to ask ourselves some common questions. So what are things you consider when creating an event, or who will participate in this event? What kind of games are they playing? Or who is benefiting from this event? So when you look at event planning, there are two major things that we use to help make this playbook. One would be the Gantt chart, which is a chronological chart for project management. So the Gantt chart basically helps you reach deadlines and keep track of scheduling. And then we also use the RACI matrix. So it lays out an organized way to keep track of responsibilities. So RACI is an acronym. So R would be responsible. Who's responsible for this event? Accountable who is accountable for the workers, who is taking the lead on this event, you're consulted for feedback, and you're not really involved with the project at all, and informed, you're just informed about the project, but you're not involved with it, the planning of it. So some of the different factors we have to look at is the venue. So it's depending on the size of the venue. So for this playbook, it is a small event playbook. So it shouldn't be that much people. So some of the venues that we wanted to kind of give an example for a small event would be like a movie theater, an office lobby, a convention center side room, hotel bar room, or even an esports arena. So some of the requirements, you'll need like a projector, TV screen, minimum of 100 seats, and around 5 to 10 tables. Most importantly for the venue, you need to have the basic essentials, right? If you go to a venue, you want to make sure there's parking, bathrooms, and all the staffing to help run an event. And then optional is the food and beverage. Also the equipment, it depends what games you're playing. That is another question you have to ask. Are the games being played? Are they on console or are they on PC? So if you take a look for console, how many you have to look at the number of how many consoles, monitors, laptops, camera, Ethernet cables, power chips, etc. And as well as PC, since it's quite different, is you need to look at the monitors, and also you need to look at the refresh rate, since some games require more refresh rate for their games to be more optimal. How many cameras, Ethernet cables, keyboards mounted, other peripherals you need, and lastly, broadcasting and the streaming. What kind of streaming service are you using? OBS, vMix, and capture card for consoles. That is how you basically stream games from a console, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. How many headsets, microphones, or graphics packages, or graphics package, which is like overlays to make stream nice and presentable. I believe this is the last thing. Thank you guys for your time. So for budgeting, this is something we talk about a lot, is the cost for events. So you need to take into account how much would the vendor fee cost for renting the consoles or the PCs, as well as the broadcasting equipment. Staffing, you need to pay the staffing for their time, tournament organizers, venue staff, which includes janitorial, whoever's working at the venue, who's employed at the venue, the talent, the production crew, as well as the prizes, the trophies, and insurance, audiovisual, and then prize pool. How the pot of money will be distributed. So say first, second, third, they should win some prize money. So usually in fighting games, Smash Bros, the prize pool will be split into 60% for first place, 30% for second place, and 10% for third place. And lastly, won't go into too much detail, but ticket sales, how much revenue are you generating from this? Are you going to charge for this event? And how much are you going to charge for both players and the spectators alone? So yeah, that is basically what I've had for the events playbook. Thank you so much for listening.
Everyone, my name is Anella. My name is Jasmine, and we are part of the Vanta marketing internship. So we are kind of in charge of formulating a marketing plan for Vanta and how we can kind of prove that they are different from other competitors online on social media. But also, since Vanta works locally, how can we kind of bring them into the local community through social media and kind of show how esports is growing in Hawaii. So here's an internship timeline. So we had to kind of familiarize ourselves with the company and then kind of do market research, as well as come up with some campaigns that were given to us from our mentor, and then also brainstorming and planning how these would be rolled out.
So one of the very first things we did when we were on board with Vanta and met up with our supervisor, James, was to go over the ins and outs of the company. So one of the few things we did was internal doc review, go over marketing collateral, which is all the different pictures and graphics that they would use to market and promote Vanta services, They have employee handbooks for the do's and don'ts of the company, competitive matrix, which shows visually where Vanta is in comparison with other companies in terms of certain things like maybe price point or focus on developmental versus competition. And then brand guidelines, which are basically the rules of what you need to follow if you're making any sort of visual component for Vanta. So, for example, if you look at the banner back there, the types of colors they use, the size of the logo, the fonts, everything, and even more is included in these brand guidelines. And we also did our own sort of competitive analysis, similar to the business team. So just to go over briefly some of the competitors that we also looked at, I chose out these three in particular because they had certain marketing components that I thought were interesting and sort of made them stand out from other websites that I've seen. So just to go over the companies, first is Pacxa, which is a teacher-run community nonprofit that focuses on cheap rates for building up esports in high schools, elementary schools, in a sort of educational environment. Next is Generation Esports and SEL, and they stood out because their website, first and foremost, showed that they offer STEM accreditation for their program, which I thought was very helpful in catching the eyes of teachers and parents, because one of the main questions that does come up when people consider esports, especially when their child is still in school, is, okay, how is this going to help them? Why is it worth my time? Why is it worth my money to help my child into this program? And having that accreditation to the forefront was very useful, I thought. And the last competitor was League OS, which is not so much focused on the educational side of things, but more in general for all sorts of sports leagues. They offer frameworks, formats, templates for sign-up, scheduling, streaming, graphics, and pretty much anything you need for starting up your esports business. So, trying to tie back into the points I want to highlight about the competitors was that one of the main and important things that was hammered into us as the marketing team was how Vanta markets to different groups of people. So B2B is business to business promotion, B2C is business to consumer. If anyone's taken a marketing class, this is pretty much the foundation of good marketing. Knowing maybe in terms of Vanta, if you're Vanta marketing to a educational institution, you would probably bring up statistics, logistics, price, all that more, instead of maybe if you're B2C in a certain situation as Vanta, you would focus on getting attention, making Vanta look fun, showing clips, videos, and knowing when to focus on which and recognizing which situation you are in is one of the main things that we were taught during this internship. So these were some of the website highlights that I mentioned previously. In the top left, I believe, is the League OS About Us page. So I wanted to highlight how they use sort of casual linguistics within their sort of text explaining their company, TLDR, or privacy focus. And in that way, they sort of give off this more personal and friendly demeanor. And it's sort of in line with gaming culture, because gaming culture does have a lot of acronyms and short versions of things. And the other two images show Pacxa and their website and how they have sort of maybe dictionary definitions of terms that are in esports and explaining esports. So I will leave my next slide. In this way, they're showing that they realize the children are probably in this marketing concept of the user of innovation. The kids and students are probably innovators and early adopters, which means they're more, okay, we're on board, we're ready to do this. But parents and teachers may be more across the chasm where they're not so ready to be the ones adopting these sorts of things. So by having these little things in their websites, it shows that, okay, we are listening to the parents and the teachers who may not be as familiar with these sorts of terms, but we're willing to teach you about it. Oh, okay. So I want to touch on this a little more in depth to show esports in a broader context and the importance of Vanta. So on this picture, I believe I have 8-year-old Joseph Dean, who was signed to a esports organization, Team 33, for his Fortnite play. And I think he was the youngest hired professional in the field, even though Fortnite's age limit is 13 because it's rated T13. And this just goes to show how important it is for organizations like Vanta to be around, because these are viable career options that start as early as 13. I believe League of Legends and Overwatch minimum age is 17, Valorant 16, Rocket League 15. So as far off as it might seem, even if you're in elementary school, these things, they come on you fast. They are sooner than you may think it is, and even organizations know that, okay, this kid is not of the minimum age to fully integrate into our team, but he's ready to start training with us. We can start getting him ready for when he's actually of the age to compete, and then he'll be far ahead of the rest of the competition. A certain wrench that might be thrown into this is that if any of you have paid attention to the state of esports, some certain sectors are in not the best of situations right now. There are a multitude of factors that led to much venture capital money to start pulling out, which have made leagues resort to more betting sites and alcoholic beverages and focusing on a more mature audience, which raises the minimum age requirements up because minimum age for alcohol and betting is higher. So if they decide to do that, then they probably have their own marketing reasons, but it just goes to show that even if the age is also getting higher, there's still the need for growing interest, training them up. And the reason venture capital is even diminishing in the first place can be traced back to grassroots and the failure of many leagues to grow interest and train people early into being interested in playing these pro games and watching these pro games. So in both aspects, it shows the significance and pretty much need for companies such as Vanta.
Okay, so one of the first projects was the Aloha Petroleum campaign. So we were gonna partner with Aloha Petroleum, which is a gas stations that are all over Hawaii, and kind of see how we can integrate the general public into an esports kind of thing, and like combining them to reach a kind of bigger audience in general. So the message and positioning that I kind of got from like Aloha Petroleums and gas stations in general is that it's not just for gas, especially here in Hawaii. There's spam recipes, there's ICs, there's all of that. And many people kind of see these places as a comfort store to kind of buy all of this stuff, go home, or like go to the beach and just, you know, hang out. So I kind of put that into integration with my campaign or the campaign. So the objective that I went for was how can this partnership benefit both Vanta and Aloha Petroleum? So I said it would drive brand awareness and sales to a wider audience, and putting the local communities, more specifically gamers, but also the general public as well. And then, yeah, overall grabbing the attention of everyone. So the target audience, I wanted to focus on gamers, but also local communities as said. And this ranged from ages 8 through 16 when I did research for social media platforms, as well as different platform channels that our campaign could be available on. And then I also dug a little bit deeper and kind of went into psychographics and researched the Bartle's taxonomy of player types. And I thought this was pretty interesting because he mentioned this one
player type called the Achievers, and they were very challenging and liked win and do all of that stuff. And I was like, that kind of relates to me because I always like to win. I'm very competitive in games, and which kind of leads me to stay up late at night. So I would go to a gas station to, grab Monster. But yeah. And then I also kind of looked at the target audiences on each platform and kind of like the main majority for each. And I feel like during this campaign, it would be important to target these audiences, especially on these certain platforms. So Instagram was 16 to 24 years old. LinkedIn is very important for esports and gaming in general. So one of the biggest audiences would be the millennials, and then Facebook, 25 to 65 years old. I think this is an important platform because this is where a lot of these children's parents are on. So kind of putting Vanta and this campaign into this Facebook or onto Facebook will kind of show them how esports is growing in Hawaii, especially through kids. And then YouTube 18 to 35, and then TikTok 18 and 24 years old. And then, as I said prior, I think these social media platforms would be important for this campaign, but also radio and television. Having a commercial or even a 1-minute spiel on the campaign would be very important. For gas stations, especially because when you're driving, you need gas. So listening to the radio and hearing about free gas is like no question, you want to win that competition. And then so timing and scheduling, planning the timing and duration of the campaign is important to maximize its impact. So my first bullet kind of goes over what I just mentioned. Gas prices peak in August. So getting this campaign out in August, or if it's a contest, before August, announcing the winners in August would be ideal, just because the winners would be announced in August so that they can get the cheapest gas that they can in a month that has the highest gas prices. And then also in the summer where a lot of people are just out and about or even gaming would be a very good time to post this campaign. And then here are the times that I came up with in Hawaii Standard Time. So social media Wednesdays 9 a.m. through 12 p.m. Radio Monday, Wednesday, Fridays 6 a.m. through 7 p.m. And then commercials on the weekdays are very or a lot of people watch during that time after work and while they're eating dinner. So 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. would be the most ideal.
So these were just some of the inspirations that we found that we could see Vanta doing, maybe not to the same scale, but kind of take, some pointers on. I believe previously on some of the other members' slides, they also had similar sponsors, such as Jersey Mike's. So we see different advertisements. These two, I believe, were shown on Twitch for the most part, which is the streaming platform that gaming is popular on. And one of them has a video game-esque UI where somebody is getting their Jersey Mike's delivered to them. Here we have Doritos, which emulates a funny pink character selection screen. And something our mentor James brought up was we have this squid/jellyfish mascot, I believe, and their name is Mochi. And what he wanted to do was think of ideas where we could integrate the mascot more into promotions. So one of the things he highlighted was how the Duolingo owl is very mascot heavy and uses it very effectively. And these are other ideas that our third member, Melanie, she's unfortunately not here, but parts that she contributed to for the campaign. And what I'd like to highlight is the use of local slang like snacks/grinds that are next level, and those sorts of Hawaii culture integrations that she was able to think of, and how that would speak to the audience and show like, okay, we're not just here to drop and go. We don't think Hawaii is just volcanoes and palm trees, right? We know like how people speak here, what people like, and even just that simple word choice could help distinguish in that.
And then after the most important thing would be post-campaign and how we would track our progress and kind of to see if our campaign is working. So I just had tracking and analytics. Checking the analytics are to see the effectiveness of our campaign. And if it's not effective, kind of using a testing strategy to see which test works the best in increasing the performance that we want. So evaluation and optimization, if key performance indicators don't reach our desired make sure to bump our posts. There's a thing on Facebook and Instagram where you can boost posts. Usually you have to pay, but you can, by boosting your post, you can kind of post it to a bigger audience so more people can see it on their feeds. So I would suggest doing that if it doesn't work out. And also creating partnerships and sponsorships with other interested companies can also boost the reach of the campaign, and also using call to actions. So individually, I worked on growth marketing. So growth marketing kind of focuses on customer relationship building and fostering loyalty. How can we grow Vanta's audience awareness, activation, and retention while also increasing the revenue and the number of referrals? And then I was assigned a referral program. So I kind of came up with some incentives and rewards for referrals to different schools. So loot box points being offered after being referred that can be used to unlock free gifts offered by Vanta, showing a loot box like the ones in games and showing the options that one can get. So it kind of incentivizes schools to kind of sign up. And then also long term, I thought of a battle pass as kind of a show of customer loyalty, referring a certain amount of customers can lead to a prize, and you can see these prizes. And I guess kind of at the higher levels, the prizes are much more better, which kind of makes people want to reach this this level as well. And then also referring the school a free 2 hours trial applicable to Vanta coaching. And then some of the promotional materials that I came up with for this referral program are social media graphics, online ads, brochures, infographics, and then a web page dedicated to the program, as well as email marketing. How will we track this referral program? A/B testing on which incentives works best and creates the highest customer satisfaction rate. Referral codes or links, spreadsheets, and then conversion rates. Some of the deadlines and analytics that I searched up were holidays. A lot of people spend money during the holidays, so getting this referral out during this amount of time is actually really good because people are wanting to spend the money anyways. And then also thinking of starting a program in November to wind down the fall season. And as soon as the spring season begins, a lot of people will be referred and also get points by the time of this new season, that the new season starts. Also, I think referrals are very important for marketing because 90% of customers trust recommendations from family and friends or even trusted partner schools. And a lot of schools basically want authenticity if they want to go and partner with, Vanta or other companies for that matter. And then here's just some of the content that we brainstormed during the time of our internship.
So these are just a couple of drafts that I conceptualized, very rough in the beginning stages and everything, but on the left side you see an idea for how the mascot could be included in some type of social media post, and on the right hand side you see, again, trying to follow brand guidelines, getting familiar with it, using the colors that are listed and the correct fonts that are listed as well.
And then on my end, I thought testimonials were a big part of these companies in general. We saw a lot of our competitors doing it, but I think, as I said earlier, a lot of people love authenticity and kind of seeing the experience that one may have through a company. So I kind of
did like a reel or kind of like a TikTok video, since a lot of our attention spans are really short. It's a really short testimonial video with some B-roll and all of that. I'm not gonna show it right now. Or we could go with like the right side graphic, which would kind of go with Vanta's color scheme and branding overall. And if I post it on like Instagram, it looked really nice. So yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll begin the Q&A section. So we're gonna have the Gen.G interns come up first and then take a couple of questions, and then give it to them. And then after we're all done with that, we can do the networking.
In the back.
What's the hardest part of your internship? I would say I didn't expect the kind of workload that we were given. It was very fast paced, and there's a point where we would say like, okay, I can't take on this project anymore. We have like, there's initially group work, and then we split up. It's like, okay, I have to take on a personal project. Casey would have to take on a personal project. Jay would have to take on a personal project. One of our managers, Nicole, would actually pull us away for projects that weren't even assigned initially. So it's like, oh, hey, surprise, we're gonna drop this on you. Can you do this? And it's hard to say no. So just a lot of workload. It was fun.
I do want to mention that track B that I worked on was just given to them that same week or that same day. And they just threw it onto us and we're like, okay, we'll take it.
One more thing to add is that like the esports industry is super fast paced. So a lot of our deadlines are literally in like, I'm gonna need this in like 2 hours. Like, can you get it done? So we have to be ready to like do it on the spot and get it done as fast as possible.
For me, it's adjusting to the time zone. I was like constantly tired all the time. So
Who would you recommend this internship to? Is it just people who are interested in sports or you can gain other skills, even if you're not interested in gaming?
I think if you're not even interested in gaming, but ideally, this is probably geared for someone who's interested in the esports industry. But some of the skills that we learned aren't just esports oriented, like program management, project management, learning how to prompt with AI, all those different skills I think could come in handy in a variety of industries, occupations.
I also want to say that a lot of the people we work with didn't even play video games. Like a lot of them don't even know how to play League of Legends or something like that. But it's just their interest in like, you know, learning a new company and like developing a company and stuff like that. It's a skill that, you know, that everyone should like pick up.
One interesting thing to point out is that during our Q&A with the CEO, Gen.G Arnold, he stated that most esports like managers and like employees come from outside of esports. They come from like outside businesses and like outside marketing like firms, and they bring their skills to esports companies like more like down the road.
How could I participate in this if I want to in the future?
I believe, I can't confirm or deny anything, but I believe there should be a second round of internships coming up next summer as well. So if you want to look for these opportunities, I would say join the UNG Sports Discord. There should be opportunities posted if they do come.
Fuck this guy.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll have the
So I think you talked about like using up like local schools of other records that the schools in Oklahoma. 2019, both have the esports love, but it's more like that. Well, you guys can consider reaching out to schools like that, especially when those schools they have like huge trust. I guess they're always looking out for like the community and see like participate like the people participating with the logo on it, you know, like all about local companies. So I was wondering if you would consider reaching out to them, because I feel like if the school had a serious sports club, like I feel like a lot more people would take these things seriously, like I would. Probably like, we did that. When we try to consider it.
I mean, yeah, one of the people on the BD team is from here, and Kogan, and he's the one that really goes around and talks up with Ed, I'm sure, to all the Hawaii schools. But what you were saying about, just hometown, and what if my school had this? That was kind of the whole point for the first 2 weeks of our internship, was to reach out to our own schools and figure out, use our own personal experiences to advertise why we would want this at our school when we were there.
I would also like to add, Vanta does actually work with a lot of other local schools, so I'm pretty sure that they are in collaboration with the Ilani schools, and so we did reach out to a lot of local schools, and I think the biggest part was just whether those schools are ready or not to it takes a lot to start an esports program, and as you see, there's a lot that goes into it. And so I definitely agree with you, being from Hawaii myself, that if these programs existed, even at my school, I'm from Campbell, if these programs existed, there are a lot of students who could have benefited from it, and I think it's really good. Vanta is still a new company, so I'm sure there's room to grow. Kamehameha may be on their radar. I'm not too sure how Kogan is handling that, but I think that's a really good topic. They are? Okay, they are. So be on the lookout for that, but that's an excellent question, and I think it'd be great to target more schools in Hawaii.
Yeah, so this one is most of the marketing. So I know you guys said that your main I guess funding costs is like $1 trillion. So I was just kind of curious, were there any other local companies that you guys also kind of do research on as well? And if so, what would be your marketing strategy for these studies? How you would utilize that specific into events?
So Lenovo Petroleum, I believe for now was a campaign idea. So that was for a set amount of months, not a full-on sponsor at the moment. But one of the other companies that Vanta was interested in partnering with was Zippies, if I'm correct. Sure. All right, okay. So in a similar line, Zippies is also very locally tied. And I would say for the ideas we presented about Lenovo Petroleum, we would take many of the same approaches for Zippies. Again, like tying into Zippies' food, right? So grinds, right? Chili, Portuguese bean soup, all of that stuff. And tying it into gaming is probably one of the harder parts to do, but it's one of the main interesting things that are part of marketing, right? Like, okay, how do we tie Zippies into gaming? How do we tie gas stations into gaming? Okay, you buy energy drinks, you buy snacks from gas stations, you probably would, I think, at least for our esports teams, a lot of what they like to do is meet up and scrim, play games together, and then afterwards they would want to hang out and eat dinner afterwards. So Zippies could be the one-stop shop for okay, you game with your friends, you want to eat something, go to Zippies, right? So I think that sort of approach is something we would take for companies that are local with Aloha Petroleum and Zippies.
Then we'll begin the networking session. So we're going to have the representatives be in the front here. And
okay, just before we do that, I wanted to just say again, thank you to everybody for you to be here and to listen to it. Sorry, I'm not you can hear me? That's good enough. Okay, so thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it. I think one thing that we really want to take note here is that this is probably one of the most diverse conversations we've had in esports in Hawaii ever. And so it is my goal that we do this yearly. What you see here, to be honest, is the future of esports in Hawaii. And so it has been my mission as the director of UH Esports to not only shine light on my players, which we're very happy to do that, we're 100 strong, but really to showcase the superstars that we have here. These are going to be the front line, the future of esports for Hawaii. and I'm just very proud of them. And they're individuals in which I believe can shape esports both here, but also they are wanted individuals outside of Hawaii. These are people that are being tapped into by companies in Asia and also in the mainland US. So, like I said, what we have next is a mixer. I think this mixer is going to be important because we want the folks that have presented to meet the folks that are in the audience. So we have, of course, we have Malelo. So if you can raise your hand in the back, right? So we have Roger, Malelo, Wes, and Todd, and also we have, of course, Russ. Sorry about that, Russ. We have Lenovo. Can you raise your hand? So we have Lenovo in the audience. We have HPU. We have Jordan in the audience. And we have Pacxa, we have JJ right there. And so I want you guys to just interact, talk, and just network and get to know each other because, like I said before, these are the superstars of esports in Hawaii. So thank you.